And a huge welcome to my world-class deal analyzer. I'm going to give you tons and tons of content during this video to show you how I work the entire UK to find cities, towns, areas, suburbs that work super well for service accommodation, because service accommodation doesn't work just anywhere. There's key locations where it works super well, so I can find those world-class properties that give us that great return on investment. So I've named this my world-class deal analyzer because it finds me fantastic deals. Not just the property, but the areas to look in, to invest in there, to buy those properties within those areas. So strap yourself in, get a pen and paper, because there's plenty of information that I'm going to be giving you guys for you to take notes on and to action yourself. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. So first of all, we're going to focus on location and footfall. So if you're new to property and you're going to be buying a property for the first time, where in the UK do you look to purchase first? Well, this all comes down to budget. And for this scenario, I'm giving us a budget of £65,000, and that's enough to put 25% down for your mortgage, to pay your stamp duty, any minor refurb, and to fit out and furnish your serviced accommodation property. Now, this budget, it means we can target properties to £170,000. Now, before we get into a little bit more about the budget, what I've done here, I've created a visual, and this is Manchester. So here's the Manchester city centre, and this black line represents a 5-mile radius. And for those of you who have watched my 60s videos, you should know by now we do not buy outside that 5-mile radius. Everything is inside that 5-mile radius that we look to see if it's going to be profitable for us. So what else I've had to do here, I've had to break up Manchester into each individual suburbs. So for example, if you go to Google Maps and go to Manchester and you click on Salford, Google Maps will actually show you the outline of that particular suburb. And that's where I can get my deal analyzer, move it into Salford, and the deal analyzer will start to show me whether or not it's profitable enough for us to be in there at our budget and target of £170,000. So what I've done here again, I've named 12 different suburbs and put all the other suburbs in as well, just to give you that visual. Also, what I've done in terms of footfall, I've put some blue markers on here. So this one here is the Etihad Stadium, which is Manchester City's football ground. I've also put here Old Trafford, which is Manchester United's football ground, and this big blue area here is one of the biggest UK industrial areas and trade areas in the UK, which is Trafford Park. Plus, we've got the city centre. So as an example, I've given you 4 draws of where footfall comes into Manchester for tourism or work-related purposes. So what we need to figure out now is, with our budget and the different suburbs, where is going to be profitable for us. So take this as an example. So Clayton over here, for example, a 3-bed property may start at £250,000. So that's off our list. You've got Stratford here, a 3-bed property down here could start at £450,000. So that suburb is no good for us. So what we need to kind of do first of all is, with our budget, what property within these suburbs fit within our target? So then we can start to focus on those suburbs and put the deal analyzer into those to figure out if it works or not. But me being a property investor and dealing with different budgets at any given time, I like to work on a number of different suburbs to see which one stacks up the best based on my budget. And also, each suburb could create a different night rate, because a different type of footfall, a different type of client could be going into those suburbs for a number of different reasons. And don't forget, with service accommodation, we have up to 14 different types of clients that would stay into a property that we could market to. So for example, the city centre, that could be business. Down here in Beeswick, for example, this could be more tourism. So depending on your budget and the type of property and the type of clientele you're going for, the deal analyzer would start to work this out for me. Based on the location, based on the footfall, based on the type of clientele going into Manchester, it starts to drip feed me that information. And once I've captured that information, I can then look at the analysis. The analysis starts to build a fantastic picture for me to work out my night rate. So what my deal analyzer has to do here, I have to pull a deal analyzer report for all of these individual suburbs to see which one works out the best. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go into analysis, and I'll give you a bit of information on that one, and then we're going to take you across into cash flow and price analysis. And this is where we can start to stack up to see on our budget of £65,000 if any of these suburbs are going to start to work for us. And this is where the magic really starts to happen as we start to analyse all the information coming in from our separate 12 individual deal analyzers to work out where it's going to be most profitable for us. Now, in general terms, it's going to give me a lot of information we can use at a later stage, but at this point, the two things that I look at is the night rate and the type of clientele that's going to be potentially staying at any new service accommodation property that we look to purchase. Now, at this stage, it is a bit of a manual process for me to create these deal analyzers, but I don't mind that because property is a long-term strategy. Plus as well, once I've done these 12 deal analyzers, I get that information forevermore. So the way I like to look at this is, I see so many people going onto Rightmove and Zoopla and spending hours and hours and hours looking at individual properties, not knowing if they're going to work for them or not. And they will go, oh, look, that's a nice garden. Oh, that's a nice bathroom. Oh, this could really work for us. So what I'm doing here, I'm working out the information first, which I have forevermore, and then I can go out to the market knowing with confidence that I can invest in those areas, which is absolutely key for my long-term strategy. And it's great when I'm dealing with investors, so I know what I'm talking about in certain areas. The other thing about this as well is once I've done those 12 deal analyzers and I've got that information forevermore, I add it to my national spreadsheet. So I know at any given time what town, what suburb is going to give me and generate my best night rate and profit and return, and also as well equity growth within that town or city, which is absolutely massive for any property investor. Now, for example, if an investor came to me and said, Carl, I'm going to give you £400,000, great, I can then look at my national database and I would know what to do with that £400,000 and where to invest, because it would give me my night rate and the equity growth from any given area, town or city, so I know where to invest. Now, the other way of looking at this is, because of the information that I hold, I can work out of that £400,000 budget, what do I do with it? Do I buy one property, two properties, or three properties? So based on my deal analyzers and my national spreadsheet, I can work out from one, two, or three properties what is going to give me my best return on investment. Because sometimes if I've got 400k, I could buy one property in one area that's going to generate me X amount of money, or I could buy three properties in another area and it would generate a smaller amount of money. So I know from my database that I can go and buy one property using that 400k and it'll give me that greater return on investment, which is mind-blowingly massive. Now, what I'm actually going to show you, I'm going to show you my deal analyzer at work, and I'm going to show you price analysis, cash flow, 6 C's, the annual figures and the 5-year forecast. But as you may have gathered already, I've been quite, should we say, vague with 1 and 2. I've not shown you my deal analyzer actually at work and how it generates this information. There's a key reason for this. Now, my deal analyzer, yes, has been given to me by my property mentor, but I've made it even bigger and even better. I've bolted even more information onto this. So it's gold dust, it's unique to me and it's invaluable. So it'd be stupid of me to give it away for free on my YouTube channel. So I hope you can understand that. But what I've done here, I've talked around it enough to show you how I break down a town or a city. I've given you a kind of an insight on how I work the individual suburbs to see if they're going to be profitable for us. So now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to show you the price analysis and start to show you how this starts to stack up. And here it is, the legend that is my deal analyzer. There's a lot of information on here and I'm going to scroll down even further. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce you to the screen so you can get an understanding of what we're looking at. So first of all, down the bottom here, we've just gone through location and footfall and how we analyze data. So that's already done for me in these two tabs. And then we move across into price analysis where the algorithms have given me all these numbers. But before I get into that a little bit further, what I've had to do, I've had to black out this part of the screen here because of sensitive information. And the next part is where it starts to get really interesting. So here, what I've asked the deal analyzer to do is to create a night rate based on these dates. So from the 8th of January, which is a Monday, so check in on a Monday, and the 12th of January 2024, which is check out on a Thursday, which is a free night stay, I've asked the deal analyzer to work out how much it costs per person to stay in a 3-bed property in this selected suburb that we're trying to establish if it's going to work for us for service accommodation. So as we can see here, for one person, it's going to cost £185 per night to stay in that property. Now for 2 people, the price stays the same. For the third person, it goes up by £5, and now the property per night is £190. And as we can see, as more people book in, the higher the cost goes up. So for 6 people, for example, 3 couples, the price is £205 per night. Now, if you break that down by person, that's £34 per head to stay in our property. Now, if you're just going to book into a hotel, depending on your budget and the style of hotel you're going to stay in, then you could be spending £70, £100, £150 on a standard hotel, a basic hotel, where with service accommodation, you get a fully fitted service accommodation property, which is like home from home. So it works out as seriously a lot cheaper. Now, what we've done here, because of these dates from Monday, check in on a Monday and check out on a Thursday, we've now established our night rate during the week. But now what we want to do is look at our night rate for the evening, for the weekend, sorry. So now, as we can see now, we're now going to check in on a Friday, stay Saturday and Sunday night, and check out on a Monday. So as you can see here, the weekend price has actually gone up. It was £185 for one person, and it's now £207. So as you can see, again, from 1 to 6 people, the price has now gone up over the weekend. So for 6 people, it was £205 during the week, and it's now £238 at the weekend. So this is telling me that at the weekend, there's more footfall going to this suburb because it's got more draw at the weekend for whatever reason. And there's higher demand for either hotels or service accommodation properties. So this is a really, really good thing. Next, what we look at is 3 months advance. So now I'm asking the deal analyzer to give me pricing for the 11th of March, which is a Monday, and check out on the 15th of March, which is a Thursday. So again, it's a 3-night stay. So as you can see, 1 to 6 people, the price is now gone up as we get closer to the summer holidays. So it was £185 in January, and it's now £209. And as we can see, as more people book into our property, the price goes up. So for again, example, if we've got 3 couples all traveling together, then the price for that property is going to be £232. So then what we do again is then look at the weekend rate. So again, we're going to check in on a Friday, stay Saturday and Sunday, and check out on a Monday based on a 3-night per person. And again, at the weekends, you can see the price has nicely increased again for that weekend stay in that area. So anything over £200 for service accommodation means it should be a fantastic area to stay in because there's a lot of draws going on. There's a lot of tourist attractions. There could be a lot of big businesses in the area. And because of the high night rate, it means there's great demand. Now, going on to the next part, and this is the final part of the analysis, what we need to do now is really work out what our night rate is going to be, our average night rate during the week and during the weekend. So we can understand whether or not that night rate is going to be great enough to pay for all the costings that this particular property would incur. So for example, the mortgage, utility bills, council tax, cleaning, maintenance. So as you can see here, for the January data, so the first month's data, average price per person is 196. The deal analyzer is telling me that we should increase the price by £5 per person from guests 3. So 1 person to 2 person, the price stays the same. And then 3, 4, 5 and 6, the price goes up by £5 per person. So again, as 6 people will stay in, i.e. 3 couples, or a large family, the price per night would be £216 in January to stay in our property. Now we can look at the March data and we can see from January to March, the price has actually gone up from 196 to 211. And again, if I ran this data for June, I would anticipate that the price would go up even more. So now the deal analyzer is showing me that in March, the price per night per person is, for one person, 211. It stays the same for 2 people, but as the analyzer is telling me that we should increase it by £5 from guest free, it nicely goes up to £231 if 6 people were to book out our accommodation. Now, on the next tab, when we start looking at cash flow, these numbers are then thrown into the cash flow to establish whether or not this suburb is going to work for us. So what we're going to start to look at now, because we're not looking at individual properties at this stage, we are looking at suburbs. We're now going to move across to see what the average house price is for a 3-bed and if our average night rate is sufficient enough for us to monetize that property and pay for all of the bills.